Give the stream a second just to let this thing kick off. And it should be starting. And there we go. Shit, I think it's about to storm over here.
What's this nigga?
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
Yo.
there's Sean. There's Sean. Everybody made it in.
Yep.
Everybody made it
up?
in.
What's
That's
up?
What's up?
What's going on?
Not much, man. We're about to get it started, man. Let's just kick it off, I guess. Obviously, we got the big fight this weekend. Anthony Joshua, Alexander Povetkin. We got we don't have everybody in the house, but damn near got a full crew in the house. V, Sean, Rockman, and Percy. So should be able to break it down. I wish Raza was able to jump in. He's actually covering the fight. But today's his birthday, and according to him, he's pretty fucking tired right now. So we'll give him a pass. But yeah, Joshua Povetkin. Where do we want to start, V? I mean, do we just want to start breaking it down, or is there anything you want to serve off before we kick it up?
No, I just, I mean, coming into all of these fights, I always like to look at subplots, different things that, you know, that for the most part, most people are not necessarily looking in. I think this fight is kind of loaded with them. I mean, of course, we're going to break it down. But one thing that I think I'm wondering how much of a role this is going to play that I haven't heard anyone else mention. Actually, you know, last week we saw a fight where Canelo was kind of given a chip on the shoulder that led to it basically translated to an edge, with him being touted and talked down upon for the drugs and steroids, and he was dope and yada, yada, yada. Coming into this fight, we haven't heard a lot about that, but I wonder in my own mind if Povetkin isn't using this as motivation for himself to also slay the biggest dragon in his terrain, out, you know, on the heels of him failing a couple drug tests. You know, I wonder quietly how much motivation that is for him to after failing that drug test. That's just one of the things I was thinking about as it relates to this fight, and I hadn't heard it out there yet, though.
Yeah, well, he's worse off than even Canelo was heading into Saturday, because he got tested positive before multiple fights, right, with Bermane Stiverne and with Deontay Wilder. I believe so. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and then if you look at just watching some of his fights this week, even like around 2014 with Carlos Takam, which is when you know, a little bit before he started coming up positive for some of these fights, his body past the 35 and older started to look more cut up than it ever had, even when he fought against Vladimir Klitschko when he was younger than that for the heavyweight championship. So I think he's got even more of a cloud over his head than even Canelo did last week. So yeah, just to speak on that part of it. But yeah, he's a big underdog headed into Saturday, headed into tomorrow. Does anybody actually think he's going to win the fight?
I think he has a better shot than critics are giving, but I wouldn't say win. I would not put money on that personally. What you think, fellas?
Do you know the odds? What are the odds?
10-1.
Ooh.
Honestly, I like to play on those type of odds. Those are long odds, so it takes very little to win big. I don't think he'll win, but it's I was actually shocked to see that. 10-1 is what I saw just a few minutes ago, actually.
Wow.
Well, I'm interested at the style matchup, because Joshua is a really good inside fighter. He's got great explosive combinations on the inside, and that's where Povetkin actually does his best work at, is in the inside. So I'm interested to see if Joshua, because that's where he always does his best work at, is more so in closer range. If he allows Povetkin in and is willing to fight that kind of fight, or I'm looking to see if maybe he wants to show us more wrinkles to his game and show us more of his outside game. Show us he can control a guy at 6'6" with his jab. You know, this would be a good fight, I think, to try some of that out with a guy who's only 6'2" in Povetkin. But because of styles, that's why I don't think Povetkin has too much of a chance tomorrow night, because again, he does his best work on the inside, and I think Joshua is really explosive and maybe even underrated at that range right now. He really has some beautiful combinations to the body and head in closer range. So,
you know what, I have just if I could just say this real quick, Sean. The only thing I disagree with what you said there. Joshua does pretty well on the inside, but he's usually fighting guys who have arms as long as his or close. This is the short. I'm trying to think. I don't remember how tall some of the other guys he faced recently was, but in Povetkin, you have a guy whose arms, like, he doesn't need as much space to land in close quarters. So I think if he's able to get in close and smother him out a little bit, he would actually be more effective going to the body, but he has to stay in his chest. If he stays at arm's length, he's going to get picked apart and eventually knocked off.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, we even saw, you know, fights like Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz where he had problems with the smaller guy, you know, inside. Yeah. So I do want to see just how Joshua addresses it. If he, like, is what you're saying, he's never fought a guy who can maybe get underneath him in close range, maybe even have shorter punches than him at 6'2". But I want to see if he obliges them, if he's like, okay, great, this is my wheelhouse, or if he tries to keep him away and work on more of his, you know, his jab and things like that on the outside.
So wait, Sean, are you actually giving in any type of chance? I know last week when we brought it up, you were like, no shot, no shot. So I'm just curious, now that you want to see what Joshua's going to do, does Povetkin have a shot?
No, I'm not giving the 39-year-old with inactivity who came up big time short against Vladimir Klitschko in his one big time fight.
His arms are his reach is 10 inches shorter.
Povetkin.
Yeah, Povetkin has a 10-inch disadvantage of reach. Like Sean said, he's 11 years younger. I think those guys know what they're doing. They're not going to put Anthony Joshua, who is the cash cow, in with someone that can pose any kind of threat.
Well, but he's mandatory, right? Isn't he the mandatory?
Yeah, for the WBA.
Right. So it's not like they went out and handpicked Povetkin. Povetkin actually earned the right.
Ortiz was a mandatory as well, right?
Luis Ortiz.
Yeah, Luis Ortiz, he was a mandatory. Because I remember Wilder saying that, you know, I'll take out your trash, you know.
I'll take out your mandatory.
Yeah. So, I mean, they didn't throw him in there with Ortiz. So, I know they're not going to throw him in there with
I don't think that would have gone too well.
Actually, Povetkin is Joshua's WBO mandatory, not his WBA. So, Povetkin would be number 2 in the WBA, number 3 in the IBF, and he's I don't see him rated actually in the WBC. So
the Ring doesn't Ring, even though I don't put any stock in what Ring Magazine rates people, but doesn't Ring Magazine have him ranked like 3rd? Povetkin.
I believe so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's top 5.
So they have like Joshua number 1, Wilder number 2, and then Povetkin number 3. I think
Povetkin is number 3. Yep, behind Wilder and Joshua.
So he's got to have some kind of shot. I mean, this isn't like Joshua's fighting a bum or anything like that. I mean, he's got to have at least some type of shot, or is it legitimately just Joshua, Wilder, and then everybody else?
Well, you have Ortiz and Dylan White out there. You know, yeah. I think that they're like.
Yeah, but they're not ranked number 3 by Ring Magazine.
We're talking about the Ring now.
That's true.
I don't know. I'll look up their top 5. I mean, their top 10 pound for pound. I know it's ridiculous.
Percy, are you giving Povetkin any type of shot, or is this going to be a blowout, a 10-1 blowout?
I think I'm giving him more of a shot of making Joshua look bad than actually winning the fight. I think there's moments where he can make him not look good, as opposed to having a chance to win the fight. I would probably give him that, and maybe not even winning rounds while making him look bad, just kind of making him look bad. Anthony Joshua, to me, for whatever reason, in the middle part of fights, I don't know if it's a mental thing or stamina thing or whatever, he seems to take a little bit of a break. I think if Povetkin has any chance, he's going to have to do something in those middle rounds. Other than that, it could turn into a blowout, but, you know, southpaw, crafty, I can see him making him look, you know, kind of the way Bernard Hopkins make guys look, where You can, he can win, but you can beat him, but it's not going to look pretty.
Fellas, let me go around the horn on this one, boys. When Percy, I'm thinking about what you just said, and that's something that nobody is even really talking about either. I looked at the whole southpaw angle as an issue for Ortiz with Wilder. Wilder was the guy I pegged to win, but the southpaw, a skilled southpaw, is dangerous for anybody. Without knowing off the top of my head who Joshua has faced, I don't know. I don't remember if he faced another southpaw recently, but what I was going to ask is, is there pressure on Joshua to look good in this fight when we think about his last couple fights, and could that play against him, considering that it is a dangerous southpaw? What you guys think about that?
What I think Povetkin, is he a southpaw? Because breaking him down today and yesterday, I seen him in the orthodox stance a lot. I'm not sure.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he switched for a fight. Seemed like I remember him knocking a few guys out with the straight left, but I could be tripping. I don't know. Right.
Looking, I believe he's orthodox, but I might be wrong on that. But
no, he is.
Okay, yeah. So
okay.
But I think you hit on it there at the end, V, which is is there pressure on Joshua to look? This is what it's all about, is Anthony Joshua, because he was red hot after April of last year when he knocked out Vlad, and now ever since that fight, I noticed the big narrative that's really developed is he more timid since beating Klitschko? He did look timid. He has been, right. It's really not speculation. I agree.
Is it timid though, or is he fighting smarter?
A little bit of.
I can answer that one. Look, we saw Canelo in that first fight with Golovkin against a very dangerous guy who he knew could hurt him. It didn't alter his game plan on the back end. He came back the next time against the same boogeyman and proved that he could walk through the fire.
But he did change his game plan.
No, but he went the harder way.
Okay.
He actually went. He's like
maybe
he stood in the fire down to the wire. He didn't back up.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the harder way. Like just because
how is getting hit more not the harder way? He stood in the pocket.
Well, first of all, I don't know the numbers. I don't really pay attention to the CompuBox numbers, so I don't know if he was hit more. But just because you stand in the pocket doesn't necessarily mean that it's a more dangerous fight. For certain types of styles and certain, when you're facing certain types of fighters, it's better to stay in the pocket. So maybe Canelo and his team felt like, what we were doing last time really wasn't smart because we were at the end of his punches. So let's stay on the inside and take the fight to him there. So
but I think anytime you stand in harm's way like that with a puncher can hurt you, it takes a hell of a lot more courage to do that. And the point I was trying to make is that we have not seen that demonstrated from Joshua. The guys who.
But why do you have to demonstrate that? I don't like. Why is it necessary for him to, stand and quote unquote be brave? Why can't he just fight behind his jab and box the entire 12 rounds?
Hey,
it worked for Floyd.
Floyd did more than jab. That's a whole another story. But yeah, my personal take is that to answer the original question, I think that. When we look at what we saw with Joshua pre-Klitschko, has been night and day from what we've gotten with Joshua post-Klitschko, I think.
Yeah, he used to unload the full arsenal on you almost from the bell. He used to let everything fly out, and I haven't seen that he hasn't been as offensively dynamic.
But don't you think that's probably because he realized, oh shit, I ran out of gas in that fight, so I can't unleash my entire don't you think that comes from a learning process as opposed to being timid?
Yeah, I think so, Ben. I do. I think he is being intelligent in there and taking his time and not rushing it. But two things is that one, knocking people out is what made him, the hottest heavyweight in the division. It's what puts asses in seats. It's what's going to continue. Winning will always continue to build your profile. But you don't want to keep going. You don't want to start going the distance and being in dull fights and be a Vladimir Klitschko. You want to get knockouts and continue to ascend, and that's the first thing. But the second thing is when you fight in Deontay Wilder, if you fight more cautious or timid or even more intelligent, I think that's not to your benefit. I think when he gets ready for Wilder, he's going to have to be ready to have those violent outbursts in the middle of those fights to eventually knock Wilder out. Because if you wait on Wilder,
but Sean, can't he be ready for that, but not necessarily do it? You get what I'm saying? Like, can't he be ready for the exchanges and to go wild, but start the fight behind the jabs, fighting smart, and if it goes there, then switch it up?
I'm going to tell you why I don't agree with that logic, Ben. Because when you're dealing with a guy like Joshua, who has had what I view, and I could be wrong, but what I view is some level of stamina issues where, you know, we were mentioning earlier how midway through the fights, he seems to kind of take rounds off. Whatever. When you have those type of issues, I don't think you can afford to not put your foot on the gas. When you have openings, you take them. And I think some of the fights post-Klitschko, there were points where he could have, like standing outside of the ring, obviously not in it, but, you know, you look and it's like, damn, okay, the left hook is there. The right lead is there. We see these things. We pick them apart. He is a very intelligent fighter. You think he sees him in the middle of these fights, but I don't think he's always taking those chances. Maybe it is to coast to victory behind the jab, but I don't know that benefits him this weekend.
It's just Joshua's starting to get that swirling around him if he still got the killer instinct, because we know that Deontay Wilder has it, and I feel like that's really a narrative, and it's a narrative that's going to hurt him if he goes the distance with Povetkin, or if he plays with his food a little too much. I think people are going to say, man, this guy is going soft. Regardless,
I don't. But do you think he's been playing with his food? Like, I don't think he's been playing with his food. I think the fights that he went the distance with, Joseph Parker, I think that's because Parker made the fight difficult. I think again, we got to understand, Anthony Joshua is still learning. He's not 35-0. He's not 40-0. You know, he's only got, how many fights does he have? Like 20, 21, 22, something like that?
He's like 21-0.
He has a total of 77 rounds under his belt, which is why I actually give Povetkin a shot this weekend. Not to win it, but I think it'll be very interesting. People forget the pedigree that Povetkin comes from. You know, this is a guy with, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking Olympic pedigree, very solid team, you know, a very renowned corner around him, and it's been consistent. So I think that Povetkin can make it more interesting than what the media seems to be saying at this point.
But I think that's why, I mean, that's almost why I pointed out some of the stuff that we were just talking about him being timid or, you know, fighting smart and this, that, and the other. It's just because, again, he's only had like 21 fights. I don't know of any other heavyweight who was 18-0, 19-0, 20-0, 21-0 that was facing the type of competition that he's faced. I mean, I'm not, you know, obviously I'm talking about current heavyweights. I'm not going back to the, you know, Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali days. I'm talking like currently. I don't think any heavyweights have been fighting guys like that, and I think a lot of what we're seeing now, after the post Vladimir Klitschko Anthony Joshua, is him saying, "Oh shit, I learned some stuff in that Klitschko fight. I learned I got heart and I can get up after being knocked down, and I also learned, fuck that, I don't want to get knocked down again." So I think that's why he's starting to fight more behind his jab. He's starting to fight a little more intelligently. And you know, like you said, V, I think, you know, at times that could be dangerous if you're fighting someone else who is like that. Like, let's say, for example, someone like Luis Ortiz. I think him trying to engage in a chess match with Luis Ortiz could be detrimental to him, because Luis Ortiz probably knows more tricks. You know, he can probably, you know, bait him into things that Anthony Joshua may not be ready for. So in that particular fight, it may suit Joshua to just, you know, go balls out and just try and slug with Luis Ortiz. But with Povetkin, I think what he's going to get is someone that's durable and someone that is going to give him an opportunity to test some of the things that he's learning. And yeah, it's probably not smart to, you know, play with the food like you were saying, Sean, but I don't, you know, I think in this particular case, I think he's going to be okay. I do agree, Percy. He's probably going to, you know, at times Povetkin is probably going to make him look bad in some rounds, but at the same time, I just think, you know, because Povetkin's smaller than him, I I don't think he's going to possess any type of serious danger that you know, Joshua's going to have to worry about putting his foot on the gas and getting this fight over with quick.
I like Joshua's prediction. He said he expects to get him out of there in the 8th. Yeah, I like Joshua's prediction.
Yeah. So he honestly, it's almost like he has that mentality to get some rounds in.
He said, "Wait, his prediction was he expects to get him out of there by the 8th." Did I hear that correctly?
Well, just to be fair, what he said was he expected a tough fight and he expected a long fight, and he's hoping to get him out of there in 8 rounds.
Okay.
Not the toughest words in the world, right, V? Not exactly Mike Tyson, George Foreman type mentality.
That's not him though. That's not Anthony. No. Anthony Joshua is all about respect. Like that to him. That's important.
Listen. But here's why I begin to question him. I'm playing devil's advocate here, fellas. But let's think back now. One of the most fierce warriors we've seen in the ring in the last couple decades, Felix Tito Trinidad. Trinidad got dropped early in fights a couple times. Okay, it never changed the way he came back the next time around, or the next round in that fight. Never changed his approach. Okay, I want to see a little more out of that out of Joshua, and we don't. So it makes me wonder what's really going on.
Wait. You want to see more of what? You want to see him?
Listen. Here's what it comes down to. The guy that, I mean, everyone makes adjustments. I get it, but the guy who on his level, who is spending that much time altering his plan, is not the guy we think he is. Am I making sense?
No.
Like with Trinidad. Okay, all right. Hey, with Trinidad, we knew he was a beast. He got dropped early. He got up. He came back out. You heard him. He came forward. We just knew. You saw the warrior in him.
I don't think Trinidad. I don't think Trinidad ever grew as a fighter, though. That's why he got blanked by Bernard Hopkins. Is because he did not.
Even at his best, he wasn't going to be a Bernard Hopkins.
Can I say one thing?
What's up?
And also, I mean, he's knocked out everybody he's faced except for Parker. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Well, but Rock, he came this close to going the distance with Takam right before that too.
Well, let me
we can ask him to quit being so timid.
Rock, no, Rock. Here's the deal, though. Actually, you just helped. No, listen, you just helped me make my point. And Ben, we had the same conversation with Keith Thurman years back. That's what always gets me with these guys who do knock everyone out. Look at Golovkin last week. Did you ever think we'd see the dog, the hunter, getting hunted when shit really got hot in the kitchen for him? That's what I want to know with
I'm surprised.
Let me ask you a question.
What you got? What's up?
I mean, he's fought Klitschko. I mean, Klitschko's the best out there. You know, Triple G didn't fight. He fought Daniel Jacobs, was a good fight, but no Klitschko like competition. You understand what I'm saying? Because your point is that Triple G, your point
nobody did to Triple G what happened to him last week.
Right.
No one.
When he faced a Canelo type of competition, he went the distance and he looked bad. However, I think that Joshua has already fought that level of competition with a Klitschko.
You're making my point for me. So why is he backing up? If you went through that level of adversity being a dog, why are you backing up now?
Because he's learning. He's becoming a better fighter. Let me put it this way, V. Let me put it this way. So
you're either a dog or you're not, bro.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. So let me put it this way. And it really, I'm kind of surprised you're saying this, V, because you're someone who, like, you always want to see fighters grow. Like you, I'll give you an example. Keith Thurman. But when you talked about Keith Thurman at one point, you said, well, I don't know. He's going to have to show more to me. I need to see him in. Like, what happens when he faces this type of fighter and that type of fighter? Why can't fighters become different? If Deontay Wilder...
Keith Thurman is the same guy, though, Ben. He's the same guy. And I'm not, I mean, right now, Keith is kind of in my doghouse.
To me, he's the same guy, but not to you. Like, when you first talked about Keith Thurman, you said all he was a knockout guy.
No, Ben, listen, if you're gonna quote me right, big man. That's not what I said. What I said about Keith Thurman
I paraphrased you.
Look, okay, I'm gonna quote me. I remember what the hell I said. Check this out. This is what I said with Keith Thurman. I love the knockouts. What I want to know is how is he gonna work? Like, how is he going to respond against a guy with the chin to outlast him and a work ethic to outwork him? A guy who can take that shot and keep coming at him. How is he going to respond? That's the
like
same
he
thing.
responded to Klitschko, right?
No, but that's my point. Okay, if he's going to do that, like he went at Klitschko. He fought smart enough to win that fight. I don't want to see him become a guy to try to win on a jab now. You've gone to the top of the mountain doing what you do. Why are you going to go to a different game plan? That's how you get your ass tore up. When you try and flip the script, you stick to what you're good at. He's a killer. He may not have that mentality, but he's a killer.
I don't know. I never looked at Anthony Joshua like he was a killer, like a Mike Tyson killer.
He's not everyone. How in the hell do you knock out everyone you fight without almost?
Because you fight 15 bums, and then you fight a couple guys that you can knock out. Just because, I mean, he's only 21-0, V. Like, you making it sound like he's been fighting 40 fights as a killer.
He doesn't need to, bro. He doesn't need to. I think we see differently on this one, fellas. All I'm saying is this. Yes, I'm all for the evolution in a fighter. But damn it, if you it doesn't matter. If you got a hammer in your tool belt, you drop your hammer. If you got to go to the wrench, you use your wrench. But you got to go with what got you there. And I don't think he does that at this stage. And I don't want to see him go backwards. Personally, I think it would take away from him and what made him who he is today if he becomes something different. He's a killer.
I'm not seeing like he's had.
What if,
bro? Yeah, what good would Deontay Wilder be if he wasn't dropping them bombs? It's the same thing.
Well, that's a totally different fighter. Deontay Wilder, that's part of this.
Hey, Deontay got to help. Actually, Deontay has a better jab, I think, than Joshua. Yeah, what would he be to us if he started trying to beat guys for 12 rounds on the jab?
But I'm not seeing that. I guess that's my point. I'm not seeing Anthony Joshua as someone who's like, you know what, I'm just going to beat everyone on my jab. I'm not seeing that. Like, he had 2 fights since he fought Klitschko. He stopped to Cam, and he went the distance with Joseph Parker, who is going to give anyone problems. I'm not seeing Anthony Joshua as saying like, oh my God, I'm going to be a Floyd Mayweather now and start shoulder rolling guys. Like, I'm not seeing that in him. To me, he still looks like the same fighter, but he's getting a little bit smarter. Like, that's all I'm seeing in him. And I just never really saw him as a killer in the sense that you're talking about, like a Mike Tyson type of killer, someone that goes in and just jumps on opponents and blows them away. Like, I've never seen him like that. Even when he fought Dominic Breazeale, like, I mean, he stopped Breazeale, but he fought him behind his jab and started to walk him down and started to land, you know? I mean, I see the same guy. I don't see someone who's different, who's timid, who's shell-shocked or anything like that. I just see someone who's trying to learn and trying to grow and trying to become a better fighter. So,
yeah, Ben, I just would like to see him add on all that stuff he's working on, like particularly the jab. But I would just want to see him add that on to that foundation of him, you know, having those explosive offensive moments, you know, and that's all. It's like, it's cool if you want to work on this, work on that, but I want to see at some point in the fight, you try and get the guy out of there, because that's what you did, like V was saying, in your first 18 or 19
But did he not try and do that against Carlos Takam, or did Takam just walk into a punch and knock himself out? Like, is that what happened? Like, I feel like it's just those 2 particular guys, Carlos Takam and Joseph Parker, present different types of problems than some of these other guys did. I mean, like Dylan White didn't put Joseph Parker away, and Dylan White floored Joseph Parker with that left hook from hell. So, you know, I mean, these guys are going to be more difficult. If he gets in the ring with Alexander Povetkin on Saturday, tomorrow, and knocks Povetkin out in 2 rounds, then we're going to be like, oh, the killer is back. And I'm not seeing that. It's just that Povetkin probably presented a style that was, you know, quote unquote tailor-made for him, and he was able to capitalize on it.
Let me ask you guys a question. And this is just kind of getting back to what I was saying.
P just chilling. He's like, man, y'all just go ahead and talk, man.
Do you guys think Anthony Joshua And of course, we've seen him touch the ground, the deck, and get back up. Do you think he 100% trusts his chin and his stamina?
Absolutely,
Yes.
because he got back up and knocked the guys out.
So you guys don't think that played any role at all in how he approaches opponents with big punches now?
No, because he's been dropped before. Like, I mean, you just said it. Like Dylan, was it Dylan White? Was it Dylan White that rocked him?
Yeah, second round.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't change his mentality going towards Klitschko. So
I
don't think so.
I'm more aligned with what Ben's saying. I think he knows he can go to that place and dig deep if he needs to, but he doesn't want to go there again if not need be. You know?
Yeah, who wants to go get their chin tested? Nobody goes into a fight saying, you know what, I think this is the one where I'm gonna make sure I got my chin. I mean, maybe Amir Khan does that, but I don't think anybody else does that. So
I don't know, man. I guess I'm
shots fired.
What's
But I guess what me and V are just saying, I don't know, V, like, is that we're just questioning if that's his best mentality going forward. You know, especially in the heavyweight division. You know,
that's exactly why I said
think his mentality is to win by any means necessary.
I can't believe we're having this conversation when he knocked every 20 opponents out.
Who's biased? I'm not biased. Somebody just said these guys are biased. Who's biased?
Well, Rock, we got to have something to talk about. You know,
we got like.
We got to take the other side. Yeah.
For everybody. I have a question for everybody.
What's up, Rock?
How do you feel about How do you feel about the fact that we have to download the zone to even see the fight?
I'm okay with it. It's free.
Yeah, just for this month, and then it goes up to $9.99.
Yeah, but this month is free. I got no problem with that. Listen. If you didn't have HBO or Showtime and you wanted to see the fight, you're gonna have to pay for it. You know, like you're gonna have to pay for it. So you're always paying for something. Just because you see a fight on HBO or you see a fight on Showtime, that doesn't mean you're watching it for free. You're paying for that. The only thing that's free is whatever Al Heyman is doing on Fox. Like, that's free, you know? So I'm okay with
that's true, but we always had like Showtime and HBO. Just
if you pay for it. If you pay for it, you have it. You have to pay for it.
But it's another $10. I mean, you're coming out, you're laying it out with these fights who I'm not really all that excited about, and you're charging me another $10 to just watch the fights that you promote. I don't know.
5 years ago, all we had was HBO and Showtime. That's it. 10 years ago, people were complaining there's not enough boxing on TV. Now you've got boxing out, you know, coming out of every hole in your body.
Networks.
Huh?
You know, it's hard to keep up with. I mean, there's 50 different networks. Last month, Ryan Garcia fought on Facebook?
Yeah.
We got to log. I don't have a Facebook. We got to log on Facebook now to watch a fight. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's too many networks.
Yep, because guess what? HBO looks like they're tapping out of boxing. So, you know, listen, you can only put fights on where people are showing them. And if HBO's not showing them, if regular TV, NBC, CBS, ABC, if they've tapped out of boxing, then you got to show the fight somewhere. I'm just happy that we can see the fights. Now, whether or not you want to pay for them, that's up to you. But at least you have an opportunity to say, you know what, I do want to see this fight. So I'm gonna chunk down the $10, or I'm gonna sign up for this free trial so I can see this fight, and then maybe I'll cancel it at the end of the month and sign up with a different email address and get another free trial, or however people, you know, work around that. But just the fact that it's being offered and we have an opportunity to see this stuff, like, for me, that's good. I remember a time when there was barely any boxing on. Maybe I've been, you know, Percy, maybe we've been in the game a little bit too long, you know, and you know, we come from the old days where we were fortunate to get a fight on ESPN. You know, fortunate to get a fight on HBO. Fortunate to get listen, I go back to the days when fights were on USA, the USA Network. You know, and you could watch boxing on Tuesdays and
Tuesday night fights.
Right, back then
Wednesday
there was a lot
fights.
more boxing now. So the fact that we have more boxing on now today than we did just 5 years ago, bro, I am okay with that.
But I think I know what Rock's saying. I think Rockman's saying in a way of, it's kind of like you're saying, though. We know Tuesday night fights on USA. We knew Friday night fights on ESPN. We knew Showtime Championship Boxing. It is kind of a guessing game now. I've had you know, conversations with buddies where it's like, hey, so and so and so and so fighting this weekend. Where can I watch it? Boxing fans, me included, we're kind of lazy in the fact that I don't want to have to do a calendar search to figure out where I got to watch my boxing at. I mean, I think those shows were just more set in stone. So I kind of see what he's saying in the sense of it's kind of a guessing game now. I definitely think ESPN Plus is a stretch considering I think through my satellite package I have 4 or 5 ESPNs. Why should I have to pay for another?
Yeah, now that is greed. Now that ESPN, you have like 4 different channels you could throw this boxing fight on. Now you're trying to like that is different.
Yeah,
like,
it's,
ESPN
you
is
know,
not
so
cool.
I get what Rockman's saying in the sense of it is getting a little bit of a guessing game of, you know, what network or app these fights going to be on. That's, you know, a lot of people choose, you know what, I don't feel like looking for it.
And then at the end of the year, you're talking about $120. That's like the price of 2 pay-per-views just for boxing. And then you're going to throw like fights that not everybody wants to see, not everybody knows. If you would have laid it out with a Joshua Wilder, that would have been great. But the fact that you're laying it out with Joshua Povetkin, and then, you know, you're giving us a free month. I appreciate it. I think that people who cover the fight should get it free anyway. But anyway, I mean, I'm serious.
Like, it's a good point,
right?
Yeah,
write it off on your taxes.
Covering fights, we should be able to cover it, right? But anyway, I mean, $120. If you calculate, I have Showtime, HBO, and now I have DAZN. That's $360 a year.
Well,
that's like a trip.
The good news is that you can probably get rid of HBO. So you can save a little bit of money there, unless you just keep it for ballers. Don't get me wrong, I'd probably keep HBO just for ballers. But
or Soprano reruns.
You're charging me $10, and DAZN doesn't have regular TV. You know, at least HBO has ballers, and you know, Showtime.
Yeah, but DAZN has other sports.
True. I mean, yeah, but you know, and I love the fight. You know, I love watching their fights. I've covered plenty. The zone before when they were just Matchroom with Eddie Hearn. I covered a
well, they're still just Matchroom. Okay. The zone is just the platform.
Okay, thank you for the correction. But I covered Eddie Hearn's fights. I like Eddie Hearn. I think he's a smart guy, and I know he's smarter than I am. But I rather watch boxing on either Showtime or HBO. Every now and then Fox or ESPN. I don't want to watch it on the app.
Yeah, but I think ESPN though, just something I was thinking of earlier, them trying to launch like the Terrence Crawford fight, all these fights on ESPN Plus. I understand us not liking it, but it is a compliment to boxing because I just think it was ESPN realizing that going forward, more and more people are going to stop watching cable and stop watching traditional forms of television, and they're going to start moving towards streaming more and more. So
but Sean, let me ask you this: how do you have a fight party when you're watching a fight on your phone?
Well, you can hook it up to your TV if you have a smart TV.
Better get that Google Chromecast. You better get that
I
Google
understand
Chromecast.
all that, man, but I guess I'm just talking about the casuals that really push numbers over the top. I don't know if they're going through all that. I don't know. I just
No, you're right.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Time out. Somebody in the chat said they spend $1,200 a month on weed. Yo. $1,200 a month on weed. That is insane, bro. You need, I don't know who you're getting it from. You need to move to Vegas or something and find some cheaper rates. That is crazy. $1,200 on weed. Shit.
I bet they don't have a house note.
Or they got some good weed. Like, let me know what that is.
I mean, I smoke a lot, and I don't know.
$1,200 a month?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Wow. Yeah. And I've been to Vegas, and I've done my fair share too. And $1,200, I can't. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I had to comment on that just because they're probably listening to us talk about $10 a month on DAZN. Like, what? $10? That's nothing. That's not even like a dime for me. Like, that's crazy.
You guys think it's funny when they called DAZN D's nuts? I just thought it was.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. I don't know why it's such a it's very first time I heard it, I got it. DAZN, D-A. It's like DAZN, trying to be cool, but DAZN and DAZN, it's DAZN. It's just.
It sounds like ESPN2 from 1998. Like you're in DAZN.
You're in DAZN. Welcome to DAZN. My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get off off topic there. What were we just talking about? Percy, you said something to Sean, right? Something about.
No. We were just talking about watching fights on your phone, even if you have to hook it up to a smart TV. I mean, if casual fans is pushing this thing over the top, I know casual fans, and I know they're not going through all that.
Yeah, but casual fans know how to find that free stream too, though. So
yeah, that's true. If they're interested enough.
Percy, what if they're starting to think of
post that in the chat?
What if they're starting to think of, instead of trying to get more casual fans, we got to find a way to milk all the money out of these crazy boxing people that we know are going to watch every fight? I don't know.
It sounds like a great recipe to ruin the sport.
Well, they're definitely not baking. They're definitely not. When it comes to hardcore boxing fans, you really only, especially when you're talking about pay-per-view numbers, you can really only bank on about 300,000, 400,000 buys. So that kind of tells you, the amount of diehard boxing fans that are out there. What everyone banks on is the casuals, like Percy was saying. I mean, that's what takes a pay-per-view over the top. That's what turns a pay-per-view into a million, buy pay-per-view.
Do you think casual fans are gonna download an app? I mean, they barely watch it on TV. You think they're gonna download an app?
No, well, actually, the easiest way to answer that question, I think, Rock, is that I think it's tough because Percy was mentioning about the casuals who are having these fight parties are not going to go through that. And I think the biggest reason you wouldn't want to is what the hell happens? You got a house full of people watching the fight and your connection go out or something, like you missed the whole fight. But the flip side is that people are getting more interested in streaming and cutting the cord from cable. I'm actually one of them. If y'all want to see the fight without ordering DAZN or whatever the hell it is, we could talk offline. But I mean, the bottom line is that there are ways to watch this stuff, whether you're a fight fan or not. And I think people are just getting hip to that. And that's why you see these guys going the streaming route, because I think eventually things like cable or even direct TV, no one's going to want to pay for that. You're going to have so many online options that you can stream through smart TV, etc. It's not going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I feel and hope like it's going in a direction where instead of you having 500 channels, that you're going to use that same money you'd allocate on a cable bill every month and probably just pick up, if you're a sports fan, spend, I don't know, $20 here a month on the NFL, $20 here on the NBA. You know what I mean? I feel like we're heading in a direction where people are going to start buying up individually what they want to watch instead of big packages. But I don't know. I'm not a TV guy.
I would charter cable is kind of going to something like that. You can pick 25 channels that so I understand that. Boxing fans are lazy. They just want to flip it and it's on, and they have beer and they host a party. I don't know. I hope it works.
They want to download an app.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. It's gonna definitely be a curve where you pitching and catching, but I guess they feel like it's gonna pick up. I don't know. I know I had a lot of casuals, people that I didn't even know watch boxing, who I've been knowing for years, hit me up about Golovkin and Triple G. That's what casuals are. I'm sorry, Golovkin and Canelo. That's what casuals are. The people that you don't know really watch it. I think if they had to watch it on the app or upload something, they probably wouldn't have. It's easy to click a button that says buy.
Right. Now, what happens when Wilder fights Joshua next year if he signs the contract? Does he come over to the zone since Joshua's the A side?
No, that's a U.S. pay-per-view.
How's that going to work?
That's a U.S. pay-per-view.
That's definitely a U.S. pay-per-view. 100%.
Joshua wins.
Bomb squad.
You know why Joshua wins, Rock?
I'm
gonna just say one little simple thing. It's just when each fighter punches, he brings his fist back to his chin, and Wilder does not. And that's it. That's it. That's why I favor Joshua. They're both really talented. They're both explosive. Both can punch. I just think little technical things like Joshua being more technically sound are going to get him the win in that fight.
Wow, somebody said wrong. Wilder comes over to DAZN. I don't know about that one. That's a U.S. pay-per-view.
100%. That's not even debatable.
I know, Sean, I know one advantage that Wilder has over Joshua. Will, my friend. Joshua doesn't have that Wilder will, bro.
The Wilder will. Wow.
Ben doesn't sound impressed.
I'm just saying. I know. I'm not. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant, because somebody will see that and take that the wrong way. That is not what I meant by that. I was just more thinking to myself, like, wow, how can he have the Wilder will when his name is Anthony Joshua? Like, he would have the Joshua will. I was just processing that through my head. I did not mean like Wilder doesn't have will. Wilder's his confidence level is boom. It's on a different planet right now. So I think that is actually the difference between Wilder and Joshua right now. I think Wilder's confidence level is just at an all-time high. Not to say that Anthony Joshua's, his confidence isn't high. I'm just saying that Wilder has knocked out every single man that has been in the ring with him. He is floating on cloud 9 right now. He believes he is unstoppable like a god. So,
and not just knocking them out, sending them to the hospital, man.
Sending them to the hospital.
Yeah, well, did you guys? Damn, I can't remember who it was, but I was browsing and I saw an interview with David Haye, and he was talking about why he feels Wilder is basically a very dangerous opponent for Joshua, and he was discussing his power, and he was saying that in his estimation, Deontay Wilder, in sparring with sparring gloves on, was a heavier puncher than Klitschko in the fight.
Wow.
And,
I think what David Haye was actually pointing out about that was Deontay Wilder's accuracy with his punches. I think that's what he was really pointing out, was how accurate he was with those punches. And people,
he didn't say accuracy, he said power.
Well, I
know
we had an interview with him talking about his power. He was talking about his power, but in talking about it, he was pointing out the reason why his punches are so powerful is because he's so accurate with them. Like, they're pinpoint punches. You know how sometimes, a guy can land a punch on and graze you or something like that and not just hit that sweet spot. I think that's what David Haye was. And again, I don't know what interview you were watching, V, but I know he did an interview with us recently, whatever the last fight was he was at. I forget which one it was, but that's kind of what he was pointing out, was just the fact that he's so accurate with his punches that it takes that power to a whole different level.
But that's why I don't want to see him get timid. Go ahead, Rock.
I have a quick question. Do you think Joshua would have survived that 7th round with Ortiz?
Yeah.
You think so?
Hey,
he survived worse with Klitschko.
He may not have ever had a 7th round like that with Ortiz.
Listen,
no,
I think he survived worse with Vlad.
Good point. Great point.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that I agree right there, fellas. Look, you know what? It's really difficult to judge that Klitschko fight, because I always wonder. I mean, the Klitschko that lost to Tyson Fury was missing a step to me. So he's coming off a layoff, and then he faces Anthony Joshua, and we give the credibility as if this was a fully active Klitschko. I don't want to take away from Joshua's victory, because he fought a hell of a fight and he got up off the deck. You really can't ask for more than that. You
got to admit, V, that's what your eyes told you that night, though, right? That Vlad turned back the clock against Joshua.
Best Vlad I've ever seen.
I thought.
Yeah.
No, you know what? That was a good version of Vlad, but we still can't say that that's a better version than the Vlad pre-inactivity. Like, I don't know that. I mean, we can say it literally, but I don't know that is what I'm getting at. The reason that I bring that point up, the Luis Ortiz that we saw in the ring with Deontay Wilder, that was a very dangerous, very active Luis Ortiz. And I felt going into the fight it would be an issue. The southpaw angle is a very difficult angle to dissect. I don't know how Joshua would have dealt with a quick counter-punching, combination throwing southpaw who got him hurt. That's a totally different puzzle to solve compared to an orthodox Klitschko. He got up off the deck. He had 10 seconds to get himself together, 7 seconds, whatever. I don't know how he would have responded in that fight with like, when we consider what happened with Deontay Wilder. I always wanted to see those two fight, though. I think that would have been a hell of a fight.
I question how Wilder would have.
You a Joshua hater, V.
I would have questioned how Wilder dealt with that, though, because the one fight we saw Wilder fight someone his own height was Gerald Washington, and Gerald Washington made him look bad for about 4 or 5 rounds before Wilder sparked him out of there.
Here you guys go with that, making you look bad, man. He knocked these guys out. I don't understand how somebody can make you look bad and you knock them out.
For 4 rounds until the knockout, he was making them look bad.
Okay, so let me I want to use that to make the point I was making earlier. You guys are saying he made him look bad and he knocked him, he made him look bad, whatever. Did we see did we see Deontay Wilder change his approach going forward in any of his other fights?
Yeah, but he continued to fight. No, he didn't. But he did fight in shorter men than himself. Severn and Ortiz are guys. I want to see how he deals when he fights Joshua with someone who's 6'6" like himself again. I don't.
You're gonna get that in a Fury fight, my man, when he's fighting 6'9".
Right.
Fellas, that's the only point I was trying to make about Joshua. Now Ben is putting out there that I'm a hater, which I think is funny. I like Joshua like anyone else. The bottom line is
he's a hater.
Hey, I'm a hater, guys. Bring it on. Y'all know I love that stuff. It's all good. Whatever. The bottom line is this, fellas. I don't think it makes me a hater to say that I think a guy gets praised in certain areas that he may not be proven in some respect. Joshua has done everything that we want to see him do in fights. He's gotten off the deck. He's showed a heart, whatever. But I think similar to what we saw with Danny Garcia, and this is really my only issue with Anthony Joshua, similar to what we saw with Danny Garcia, after he touched the deck with Vladimir Klitschko, we've seen a different version of him. And I understand the evolution. You want to fight smarter, but I don't see the same killer. I see a guy who has opportunities at times and doesn't take him. When you're trying to get to the top of the pinnacle, I don't think you can afford to go backwards, because you know what? Deontay Wilder will probably be a stiffer challenge than Vladimir Klitschko, and I would definitely say will be a stiffer challenge than everyone else he faced.
You don't think Deontay Wilder has gone backwards at all? You think his boxing skill and technique is better now than it was a couple fights ago?
I mean, let's go around the panel. I don't think Deontay Wilder fights more timid now than we've ever seen him. I don't think so.
Now Anthony Joshua's timid. I don't think Anthony Joshua.
I said more timid. I didn't say timid.
Listen. Okay. No, you said timid.
Fellas,
you said timid. But
I said more timid. Don't tell me what the hell I said. I said more timid.
More timid than before the Klitschko fight.
More timid than he was before.
He took a step back, guys. There are times when he has, fellas. Okay, well I do. Maybe it's because I got 4 eyes, not 2, but. The bottom line is I think there are opportunities that we've seen him have that he hasn't always taken advantage of. And I don't want to see him go backwards. That's my only thing.
I think he only had 2 fights. He knocked one of the guys out. And
you know what? As a matter of fact, let me say this. They would not be saying, Hearn has said out of his own mouth he has to prove something after 2 duds. So I can't be a hater if his own promoter is saying basically he didn't do as much, the fans didn't think it's not me alone, fellas. If you guys want to cast me as a hater, it's all good. But like I always say, I'd rather be hated for being honest than loved for lying, guys. I'm not fake, is what I'm not.
I don't think you're a hater at all. You're just voicing your opinion. So, we can kill that.
That's all it is,
I think Anthony, and we've gotten far away from the Povetkin Joshua fight, but I think Anthony Joshua is just someone that he was physically exasperated, and if you've ever played any sports and you've been there, you don't want to feel that again. I think he's fighting a more at a different pace because of the Klitschko fight. I don't know if it's – and I was one of the ones saying Klitschko might have took something from him. Maybe this fight will show us. I think it'll probably be a level up that'll actually show us, but I just think he was physically exasperated. He doesn't want to feel that again. He's fighting the secure bags now. He understands he's the cash cow. Maybe somebody pulled him to the side and talked to him and say, hey, man, you can't be doing that crazy shit, that Wild Wild West shit. So maybe that's it. Maybe Klitschko took something from him. I think it's going to be a level up from Povetkin that actually shows us whether or not Klitschko took something from him. But it's a difference in style. I don't know if it's a money thing. I don't know if it's the physical exhaustion thing. But, you could see in the Takam fight, you could see in the Parker fight that he just wasn't willing to It was almost like Teddy Atlas used the analogy of the silent agreement. You don't hurt me, I won't hurt you, and you know you're gonna get paid. You're probably gonna lose a decision, but you're gonna get paid. It's almost like that feel to his fights now, as opposed to what he did to Charles Martin and guys like that.
So let me ask this question, because Percy, you just beautifully packaged all I've been trying to say. Can we agree that he has fought with a different style?
Like without a doubt. Okay. He's towing the line more, for sure. Okay. He's towing the line. I think, like I said, it might be just the whole securing the bag. There's bigger prizes at the end of it. It could be that. It could be Vladimir took something from him. It could be, like I say, just the feeling physical exhaustion, man, it's a mental, psychological thing that it takes its toll on you. It really does.
If I would like to see more dominance in this style. Like, I want to see him have an authoritative jab tomorrow night. You know,
and I agree, Sean. If he's going to use this style, guys that shouldn't be in the ring with you, show us they shouldn't be in the ring with you.
You got to get them out of okay.
Wow,
okay.
Wait. So are we saying Povetkin shouldn't be in the ring with them?
No. What I'm saying is, if Wilder was the goal, Povetkin's definitely a level below that. If Fury is the goal, Povetkin is a level below that. I think so.
We think.
I have a question for you, Percy.
Ben, I don't think we can have it both ways, bro. You riding on two sides of the fence.
Oh, tell me how, V. Tell me how I'm riding on two sides of the fence.
Let me let somebody was about to say something. I'm gonna come back to you, Ben, but I think you're giving us two different sides.
No. Rock, you hold on. V, tell me how I'm giving two different sides, because I don't think I am.
Ben, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong.
If you're knocked down and then you come up like Joshua was and you win the fight by knockout, doesn't that give you more confidence though, Percy? You were saying that not Wilder, but Klitschko may have taken something from Joshua. But I think that if I was to get knocked down and I was to come back and knock that guy out, I would have more confidence than, you know.
No, because Rockman, I think what we're talking about is after the Klitschko fight. Like, he showed everything we want to see in that fight. I guess the best example would be if you look at Trinidad Vargas. Trinidad knocked Vargas down within seconds of the first round, and then Vargas got up and knocked him down. But we never saw that in Vargas after that fight. He showed all kinds of heart during the duration of the Trinidad fight, and then his next fight he was put down by some no-name, and he just was never the same. So I think if you take away the Klitschko fight and everything we saw and loved about him in that fight, I just don't know if he's willing, not saying willing, because obviously he's a fighter, he is, but he hasn't shown the ability to go across that line. Like I said, it's like the silent agreement of, you know, Takum got rough. Takum didn't cooperate, so he had to.
Yes, because that was definitely the case in the Parker fight, Percy.
Yes, right. Parker was kind of like, look, dude, you're getting the highest payday. I'm not going to do you anything. I mean, it was so bad. The one time they mixed it up, the referee got antsy and, like, broke him during the middle of a combination exchange. Like, that's how dull the fight was. I think everything after the Klitschko fight leaves something to be desired from Joshua. Povetkin probably is a guy that you could gain some fans back on, but I think that next tier guy show us if he's the dog we thought he once was.
I do think that because Ben's saying, like, does he deserve? We're putting it almost like, does he deserve to be in the ring with him? Well, yeah, I mean, he definitely deserves to be in the ring, but being 28 versus a guy 39, you're the undefeated, damn near undisputed heavyweight champion. Go out there and show it, man. Go perform like the heavyweight champion of the world, because you're not Larry Holmes and you're not Muhammad Ali. So if you're not gonna be, fleet-footed for 12 rounds and show us the best jab in boxing, I want to see what he does best. It's good if he's gonna work on that.
But do you take anything away from a 28-year-old Canelo going the distance with a 36-year-old Golovkin?
That's a totally different situation, I think, though.
Why? Povetkin is no Triple G. I mean,
no, hell no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. I mean, I'm not.
Any guy that signs deserves to be in there. I guess what I'm saying is we always say there's levels. That's what everyone says. There's levels to this. Even a fighter saying that now. I think we all understand Povetkin is a level below Fury. He's a level below Wilder. So if he's gonna be that guy,
we think. That's all I'm saying. We think.
Okay, Ben, let me.
I guess I'm basing it on what I've seen in the ring. I mean, honestly, this is the first fight Povetkin's been, I don't want to say clean, but subjected to a lot of drug testing. he might go in there and get flattened in a round because we could possibly never seen him clean.
He might.
I mean, you know, it's just I don't know who Povetkin is as a clean fighter. He may be everything we thought he was with the pedigree and all that, but I think he's definitely a level below a guy who's held a title and been defended a world championship.
But what I'm saying is the same way we don't know what Povetkin is. I still don't know what Anthony Joshua is, and I still don't know what Deontay Wilder is, and I won't know. Okay. I won't know what any of those guys are until they start fighting each other. Because right now,
Ben, let me ask you a question here though. I'm not
gonna let you ask me a question.
But I'm going to.
Just ask the question. You don't have to let me know.
Check this out, man. When we, where the hell? Okay, no, straight up. Now I thought you tried. I'm like, damn, did he mute us? Okay, no. Listen though, everyone now is basically we're getting a total unanimous perspective on this. Where I think everyone on the panel is basically saying that he has not been the same guy post-Klitschko. Are you the only one of us that's basically saying that's not true? Because that's where my
listen, you can tell me he's fighting with a different style, and that's fine. That's fine. You can tell me that. That's fine. I'm not going to argue that. But to say someone is not the same person, that's bringing other things into effect. That's saying mentally he's not the same person. He's making decisions mentally because of this, because of that. That's what I'm getting at. I'm just saying I don't see a different person. The Anthony Joshua that I see in interviews today, the Anthony Joshua that I see in the ring today, in my opinion, is still the same Anthony Joshua that I've seen in all the other fights. The only difference is that he's choosing to fight differently. The same reason, or the same way that Canelo chose to fight Golovkin differently. I don't think Canelo fought Golovkin. I don't think he fought Golovkin that way because he's more timid or he's changed his mentality. I think he took a different approach and a different style in order to win the fight. That's all I'm getting at.
I think it's two different things, bro. Canelo took a different approach that took him more into the lion's den.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Joshua's taking a different approach that takes him out of the lion's den. He's stepping into the sheep's pasture.
Foot off the gas.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. I'm being funny, obviously, but the reality is that we have known this guy as a killer. Right now,
you have known him as a killer.
Right,
I've not known him as a killer.
Demonstrating the killer.
His record showed he was a killer.
He's had two fights. He's had 2 fights. One of them was against the guy. One of them was against the guy that was short notice. He wasn't even preparing for the guy. So I understand why he probably went into that fight with a, oh shit, what am I getting myself into? Like that was like a last week change. And the other guy was Joseph Parker, who I guess apparently, since there's levels to this, Joseph Parker was just shitty, and Anthony Joshua should have knocked him out. Which obviously I'm just being facetious here. I don't think that's the case. Joseph Parker is a difficult style to fight for anyone. So I understand why he fought those fights that way, especially if he was someone who was thinking, shit, I might fight Deontay Wilder after this. I might get a big fight after this. Like,
would you have thought though, Ben, that Dillian White would have had more moments against Parker than Anthony Joshua?
I mean, not prior to Joshua and Dillian White fighting him. If you asked me that prior to Joshua fighting him and Dillian White fighting him, I would have said, nah, Anthony Joshua's going to spark him out. Which is what most people were predicting before the fight, is that Anthony Joshua was going to spark out Joseph Parker. Like, I think most people were saying that. But like you were pointing out, Percy, we don't know how much the Anthony Joshua fight took out of Joseph Parker. Maybe that took something out of him. Maybe that's the reason why Dillian White was able to have better moments against him.
Nothing happened in that fight.
I tell you what, that was let me tell you something.
Something might not happen, but people get hit. People do get touched in that fight, and Joseph Parker did get touched at times. So
let me tell you something, Joshua. That fight with Joshua and Parker, honestly, I would have been mad as hell if I paid as a fan to see that. That was a dull ass fight, and it was a dull fight for a guy that you expect to go in there and blow somebody away. Yes, his levels to this. He wasn't going to blow him away. He did nothing in that fight that excited me.
He won.
And that's not hating. He did nothing in that fight that excited me.
I think the timing of the fight was horrible too, because everyone was reeling from the Wilder and Ortiz fight. And then Parker and Joshua kind of was a letdown, especially considering a lot of people, probably not anybody on this panel, thought it was the build-up to those two guys fighting. So, yeah, the timing was bad. It wasn't a good fight. I thought – go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Percy, though. Coming on and you just brought up a really good point. Coming on the heels of that fight, the Ortiz-Wilder fight, you got the stage. You're the other half in this fight that everybody wants to see. Do you not want to put your foot on the gas and go out there and do something to make a definitive statement? Like
I don't think fighters think like that. I don't think fighters.
Yeah, and I think that might be the part of what I was saying of securing the bag, because if he truly thought Wilder was next for all the marbles, he probably thought winning was just enough. Now, I don't know the details of the negotiations, but I'm sure he didn't think it was going to fall apart like this. But he kind of fought like he was a guy trying to secure the big bag at the end. Kind of like Tyson Fury looked at his tune-up fight or his last couple fights to secure the bag. So that's what I say. I don't want to say definitively Klitschko took something from him, because it could be something else, like, you know, bigger paydays at the end of the day, not getting clipped with something. This is the heavyweight division, man. It takes one.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fight is taking a Wilder and Joshua, though. Isn't it taking a beautiful character, though? It's shaping up like a movie plot. Like, you know, Joshua is undefeated, you know, beloved by the Brits, and he's the more gentlemanly boxer type. But the one guy out there that's got the one belt he doesn't have is you know, charismatic, big mouth American guy. So I don't know. I just think that the fight is starting to really take a personality and a story now between Wilder and Joshua, where it's not just the two best heavyweights and we want to see them fight. They got good contrasting personalities, and there's a lot of good stuff to work there. The promotional fight.
That's what that fight needs if they want to do big pay-per-view numbers in the U.S. Like it needs a story. It needs some life, you know. So I
just hope, being that they are heavyweights, man, nobody suffers an L in the process of getting us to it.
But they might want to market it like they did Lennox and Mike Tyson back in the day, where, you know, Lennox was the favorite heading into that fight, and he was the renowned British heavyweight champion, but there was this sentiment that he's a timid guy, and Mike Tyson's too street for him. Mike Tyson's too tough for him, too much of a dog for him. And I think we could get a similar promotion at some point with Wilder and Joshua.
Y'all see that?
Y'all gonna quit throwing this timid word out there. You're gonna stop it.
hey, narrative. It's more narrative that's building against Joshua. You know, narrative is everything in today's sports stories. Like, if he goes the distance with Povetkin, I mean, the memes everywhere are going to be that Joshua's like shook since the Klitschko fight, and he just doesn't have the dog in him that Wilder got. Wilder talks about putting bodies to sleep for good, while Joshua schmoozes it up with Eddie Hearn and wears, you know, $10,000 beautiful jackets and goes the distance now.
So if Wilder goes the distance with Fury.
Fury is a different.
But he's not gonna go the distance with Fury.
No, but here's no. To answer that question, Fury is a totally different puzzle to solve compared to Povetkin with Joshua. I think Fury, if he's on his game, could be a very difficult fight for either of these guys.
Yeah, and narrative again. If you go the distance with Fury, it's like I went the distance with the lineal champ, the undefeated lineal champ. You know, and
his last two performances.
Well, hey, you got to be a good talker to spin narrative, and Wilder and Fury are some good talkers, though.
I don't know, man.
You know, but
I don't know, but yeah.
I don't think he's gonna go the distance with Fury, though.
He could
for sure. But
is that gonna change your opinion of him if he goes the distance, since you expect him to blast out Fury?
Yeah, it would. No. For me, it would.
Not at all.
Not mine.
Not at all. That's a tall tree to chop down, man. It's much different from.
And a very slippery one.
Yeah, a little bit different. And I do think the two fights with Fury was basically Fury getting rounds, him carrying guys. I don't think Povetkin's the kind of guy you can go in and try to get rounds with. I think he's dangerous enough not to. I know he's no Pianetta and none of those guys. So I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, agreed.
But
where's Rockman, man? Where's Rockman?
I think he's tending to his dogs or something.
Oh, okay.
But is Joshua not becoming more timid, but just taking his time more, being more patient in there? I still think he's going to turn it up when the Wilder fights happen. I think he's even keeping it in his war chest right now, some of what he's got for Wilder. But if he keeps fighting in this patient style, isn't that bad against Wilder? Because Wilder has been getting really good at waiting you out, making you pose in front of him while he poses in front of you, and at some point setting up just that one punch he needs. I mean, shouldn't Joshua not get accustomed to fighting like that? Wouldn't that hurt him against Wilder? You know, too much waiting, too much patience.
I don't think anyone goes into a fight thinking I'm going to wait this one out and be patient. I think you fight how the fight plays itself out. And if that's how the fight plays itself out, if he's using his jab, sticking the jab in the face, and that's keeping him at bay, and it's just working all night, then he's just going to do it all night. You know, I mean, that's just how it happens. I've seen plenty of fights where a guy, Winky Wright pasted Felix Trinidad for 12 rounds with his jab. That's it. Just jabbed him to death all night.
But I'm not seeing Joshua develop a dominant jab like that. I'd like to see that.
I'm not saying Joshua is gonna go in and dominate Deontay Wilder with his jab. I'm just saying the fight is gonna play out however the fight plays out. And if it goes to war, I'm quite sure Anthony Joshua will go to war because we've seen it. He's shown it. He's shown it to us. We've seen him do it before. If he doesn't have to do it, then he might not do it. We've seen that as well. So I guess what I'm saying is that we've seen different dimensions of Anthony Joshua. We've seen him have the ability to do different things. And I don't think he's purposely switching things up because, you know, he's timid or he doesn't have this ability anymore or that ability. I think he's just fighting however the fight presents itself. And however the Deontay Wilder fight presents itself, I think, you know, if it's an all-out war, if Deontay Wilder goes running out there throwing bombs, and then Anthony Joshua's going to have to answer. He can't be patient. He has no choice. He's going to have to, like, throw some heat back in order to get Deontay Wilder off of him. So, you know, fights just play out however they play out. I don't think anyone goes in there thinking, you know, I'm going to carry this guy for 12 rounds or anything like that. Oh, Rockman.
I don't agree.
You never agree because you're a hater.
I don't agree.
You are the biggest hater on here.
Listen.
I just know with Wilder,
Ben,
you don't want him to lull you to sleep.
Check this out. Check this out, Ben. If Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, whoever you want to name, when we look at the legendary greats, if they approach any of those fights thinking I'm going to take what this guy gives me, they wouldn't be who they are today.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I didn't say he's going to go into the fight saying, I'm going to take whatever this guy gives me. I said the fight is going to play out however it plays out. That's what I said.
See, I think that's saying exactly what I just said. Though.
But
listen,
it's not, though, because it's totally different. And I just said it's totally different.
Let me ask you, all right, let me ask you this, though. Again, when we look at the legendary greats, okay, how many of them went in the ring and gave the other guy the opportunity to impose his will? Now, the other guy, if it's good enough.
Before I answer that, you tell me when Anthony Joshua went into the ring and said, please impose your will on me.
No, but that's the way I interpret you saying he's going to basically take what's given to him.
But that's not what I said, though. I said the fight is going to play out however the fight plays out. The Canelo Triple G fight played out how it played out. Period. When Triple G had to make an adjustment, which he did, Triple G did not fight that fight the entire way the same way. He made an adjustment when his trainer told him, motherfucker, you're losing. So Triple G said, okay, let me step it up. And that's what he did. So that's what I'm getting at, is that if Anthony Joshua finds himself in a position where it's a war, if Deontay Wilder comes out swinging and he is forced to swing back, then that's how the fight is going to play out. He's not going to have an opportunity to say, you know what? I see you swinging these wild punches at me, nigga, but let me just keep jabbing you all night, like, because this is all I know how to do. That's not how fights play out. I'm just saying that he's going to take whatever is presented during the fight. And if just like if there's an opportunity, when he fought Carlos Takam, when he saw an opportunity to attempt to close the show, he tried to take it. He stepped on the gas there, and then ultimately the fight ended. If there's no opportunity to do that, then he might not do that. Like we saw in the Joseph Parker fight. He didn't see a similar opportunity to take him out. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Anthony Joshua is going to go in the ring with Deontay Wilder and see what he does and let Deontay Wilder dictate the fight. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not
so
at all.
Ben.
See,
So Joshua beats Wilder?
Huh?
Joshua beats Wilder then?
Ask me after I see Deontay Wilder fight Tyson Fury. Let me see that fight.
Let me ask a question, man, because we're really grasping at straws because there's been no trash talk between Povetkin and Joshua, so it didn't offer a whole lot. But
we're trying here. We're trying.
And we're trying, man. We're grasping at straws. Let me ask y'all this though. And Rockman, you've been quiet, so I'll start with you, my man. Povetkin did come in 7 pounds lighter. Is that because usually you see guys like, I'm gonna bulk up to match his bulk.
7 pounds lighter than he normally weighs?
7 pounds lighter than his previous fight against Price.
Right.
I'm sorry. So he was 229. I think he was 222 and maybe some change. Smart move, bad move. Like I said, I've seen the I'm gonna bulk up to match his bulk backfire so many times.
He weighed what, 25 pounds less than Joshua?
Joshua was, I think, 245. He was 222.
Man.
Yeah,
what you think?
I don't give him a chance either way. You know,
I feel you.
I have no idea what's going to happen. You know, what happened with his weight because of the steroids issue or the performance enhancement drug issue. So, you know, and I'll be honest, I'm not that knowledgeable of Alexander Povetkin. I've only seen the Klitschko fight, but I don't think that either way. I think he's going to come out, you know, on his back.
I got you. What about you, Ben?
I mean, clearly Povetkin is probably trying to use speed and agility on his side, being the smaller man. So I think that was smart. I definitely don't think he should be bulking up in order to fight Anthony Joshua, especially since he can't be on PEDs for this particular fight. It's going to be a little hard to bulk up. But that's another thing. I mean, we don't know, like, maybe that's just his normal weight. You know, maybe he just made that weight because he is off some shit and he's not as bulky as normal. So I don't necessarily know if it was a game plan on his part or anything like that. I think maybe he just, you know, he's just coming in and he's just going to fight his fight. I think we're just going to see the typical Povetkin type fight. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised. I honestly would not be surprised to see this fight go the distance. That's why I'm not like, oh, Anthony Joshua's got to knock him out.
I think it would. I mean, fellas, let me say this. What I think the whole weight scenario is, and that's a really good question, Percy. What I think, though, honestly, I think they're playing solely into stamina and in speed. But I think they're thinking, look, this is a guy who looks like he wears out a little bit middle rounds. You know, if we can do what we got to do early, land some shots, wear him down a little bit, and get him tired, and we have the stamina to go late. With Povetkin's ring intelligence, his stamina and speed with the power he packs can absolutely be a problem for Joshua, I think.
Yeah, no, that's I just was wondering about that because I've seen it, you've seen it, Ben. I know with the guys that feel like they got to match bulk with bulk and things like that, and you know, but you know, like Ben said, and maybe this is just what he weighs in when he's not. I'll put it like this: I asked somebody who I know that's in camp with him. You know, I was like, man, he's looking good physically, and he deferred that talk very quickly to Daniel Dubois. So. He didn't seem too thrilled to talk about Alexander Povetkin and the way he was looking in the gym. So that's very telling to me.
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's just what he's seeing or something he overheard, but he didn't look. He wasn't too thrilled to talk too much about the way Povetkin looked when I was even trying to give him like props. Like, damn, he looking good physically, man. He was like, man, you need to get on Daniel Dubois. He's like, that's the one. So yeah, maybe Daniel's giving him the business in the gym. I don't know.
Wow. Daniel Dubois. Daniel
Dubois. Sorry.
Daniel Dubois. Put some respect on his name. Dubois.
Have you guys heard the rumors for the Wilder
Fury?
The Wilder Fury undercard?
Well, before we get to that, I actually and we can just kind of segue to it now, I guess. But it does look like they're going to be making the announcement here soon. I'm hearing rumblings of a press tour. obviously I saw Frank Warren put some info about the press tour shaping up. I believe they're going to be in the UK. They're going to swing through New York and then hit LA next week. So I assume there's going to be an announcement soon. Obviously, there's also dang, Rockman.
Press tour? What?
We're talking about Fury Wilder versus Fury press tour, I believe is probably.
Is
it
finally official?
It's not official yet, but Frank Warren did do an interview. He did say the press tour is shaping up. They're going to be in England, and then they're going to hit New York, and then they're going to hit LA. I believe it's going to take place next week. It looks like I'm sure you probably saw all the news, all the different stories about it. It looks like that fight's going to be at the Staples Center.
I'll be there.
Okay, well, Sean, I'll make sure I put a credential in for you. Yeah, it looks like the fight's going to be at the Staples Center. And I did see the rumors about the undercard. I think one of the fights they were talking about was Leo Santa Cruz versus Gary Russell Jr., which to me just made no sense when we just talked to Leo Santa Cruz a couple days ago, and he said, I'm not going to be fighting Gary Russell Jr. in my next fight. But, you know, money talks, and you never know. But I just don't, you know, when you start talking about all these names on a pay-per-view, you have to also remember that these guys have to get paid. So, you know, when you're already paying the main event fighters a big chunk of money, there's not going to be that much money left to pay everybody else. And so far, the rumor, Rock, I believe this is the rumor you're referring to. The rumor is Leo Santa Cruz versus Gary Russell Jr., Abner Maris versus Gervonta Davis, and Keith Thurman versus Josecito Lopez, which I don't think is going to happen. From what I understand, Keith Thurman really isn't anywhere near ready to make his comeback yet. And even if he
do you think we can get the Davis Abner Maris fight?
I think the Davis Abner Maris fight is a possibility. I know Gervonta Davis went on social media just yesterday, I think, on Instagram stories and posted that he's back on December 1st, which I believe is the date for Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, even though they haven't announced it yet. Excuse me, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. I got to put some respect on Wilder's name and list him first. But if Gervonta is fighting December 1st, he's probably fighting on that card. I know Leo Santa Cruz told us, we did an interview with him, and he told us that he was going to be fighting, or at least he thought he was going to be fighting on Deontay Wilder's card. I think he said he thought he was the co-main event. So I don't know. That's, you know, sounds like some of those names might be on the card, but maybe not in the fights that you think they're gonna be in. The only one that I would say is probably really gonna happen is Abner Maris and Gervonta Davis. And
I heard Jarrett Hurd might be on the card.
Yeah, I saw that rumor too. And actually, Sean, you talked to Abner Maris this past weekend. Wasn't he saying that he thought the fight might be mid-December?
He said, no. He said either the December 1st or December 8th.
Oh, okay.
He said either one of those dates, and that 90% sure it was going to happen, him and Tank.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I could see them. I could see them maybe being on the card. But then again, maybe not either, because it's going to be in L.A., and usually when Gervonta fights, it's on a Mayweather Promotions promoted card. So, yeah, I'm not sure if Floyd Mayweather would be attached to the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, especially in California. So I'm not sure. I mean, listen, any other fight on that card is going to be, you know, fun and great, but at the end of the day, the only fight that people are going to care about is that main event, Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury. So I'm actually hoping they do like a Golden Boy type of undercard where there's like a lot of quick knockouts and we get those fights over with and we just get straight to the main event. I'm cool with that.
I think they should definitely get Keith Thurman on that.
I don't think Keith Thurman.
Keith won't be ready.
Yeah,
Keith said he's nowhere near being ready.
No, Keith won't be ready.
Well, Hurd then should jump into that, because it's like you said, they should put in a guy like Jarrett Hurd, like they just did with Munguia. Let him blow somebody out. You know, match him up to where that's what is supposed to go down. And let people get a look at him. Let him boost his profile. You know, I think Munguia, that was a good look for Munguia last Saturday. Let Jarrett Hurd, who's in the same division, get a similar fight to keep his name hot.
Right.
That's because that was my logic with Keith Thurman is you know, okay, he needs more of tomato fight. You know, he needs someone that he can bomb out of there. So let him get this exposure on the Wilder undercard. But since he can't go, let Jarrett Hurd get that exposure and tank. But maybe the Jarrett Hurd fight could be feasible because he'll take a lower than he did in his last fight with Lara, because he'll be fighting a presumably easy opponent. Maybe
who do you put him in with, though? Who do you put him in with, though? I don't even know who you would put him in with. Jarrett Hurd.
I know Curtis Stevens moved down to 154 and is looking for action. I mean, that's not an easy customer. But I think Curtis has seen better days after what's happened to him in the Lemieux fight last year. But
what about Harrison Lubin?
Nah. He's a little too good.
That's just mean. That's just mean to do to Lubin. Like, that's cold-blooded, man. Let Lubin get a couple wins after that.
Lubin trying to get smoked with Munguia, man. He's on social media banging it out with Munguia.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Lubin?
Wow.
Yeah,
Lubin can fight. We just gotta see if that was a one-time thing, if he got caught cold, or if he just is chinny, because Lubin can box.
Lubin can box. From what I understand, he's been put out in the amateurs a couple times as well. I don't know how much stock people hold into that, but yeah.
That's pretty bad if you get knocked out in the amateurs.
Yeah, I've heard he's been put down a few times in the amateurs. Obviously, Charlo decimated him, so we'll see. I want to see him back, though. I want to see guys like that back. 54-pound division is hot, man. It's a hot division.
It is.
It's unfortunate that probably the best 54-pounder, which was Jermell, Jermell Charlo, I wish he had a little more initiative to want to fight Hurd and Munguia, because he still has more of that new school attitude of, I get paid no matter who I fight, and I think he wants
to fight those guys. I mean, Munguia obviously is difficult to make because he's on the other side of the street. But I think he wants to fight Hurd. You don't think he wants to fight Hurd?
I seen what it takes to make a big fight at 154 once with Landy Lara and Canelo. I want to fight you, and I would like to see some of that from Jermell. This man has the belts that you want, doesn't he? He's the man. He beat Lara. He's the unified champ. I want to see more of Jermell say, because I feel like it's really the ball's more in Jermell's court. Hurd is sitting pretty. He's the one who's the champion.
But I think I've heard Jermell say that, though. You don't like.
Yeah, Jermell said that. Yeah.
You just a hater, Sean. You a hater too.
I just want a little more initiative. Like, this is the fight that needs to happen. Bring your ass here.
Wait a minute, Sean. You want more initiative from one of the Charlo brothers?
See, they got initiative with everything. So where's that energy with Hurd? Where's that?
Less initiative.
He said, "I want a little less initiative." Wow.
Well, instead of turning up, just keep that energy with Hurd. That's all.
Listen.
As I think he beat Hurd.
Listen, but Al Heyman fighters fight whoever Al Heyman tells them to. Like, I don't. If the fight's not happening, it's because Al don't want it to happen yet. Like that. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. I don't think any of these. It's just like Keith Thurman told Sean Porter when Sean Porter confronted him in Vegas. And Sean, I believe you were there. You were there at the table when I don't think you were with Fighthype at the time though, but you were definitely there. Sean Porter came and got into his face and was like, "When we gonna fight? When we gonna fight?" Keith Thurman told him, like, "Bruh, you know what it is. Like, we got the same guy. I mean, just if he wants us to fight, we'll fight. If he doesn't want us to fight, then we won't fight." So I don't really think like what can Jermell do in order to force that fight? If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and if not, it's just not. So that's how I look at it, though. You want these guys.
I'll see the fight.
I get it. But sometimes these fights don't happen. Not because the fighters. Sometimes the business just dictates it. And we don't know what the business plans are. I mean, we've already heard that Jermall Charlo. It sounds like Jermall Charlo will be coming back sometime in November against. Did I see this right? Willie Monroe Jr. I mean,
I didn't see that.
Nah, I mean, that's what the rumor is. That's what
I don't
what
like that fight for him. Willie could stink you out. I don't see that matchmaking.
He could. I mean, he could stink you out, or Charlo, if he's all that in the bag of chips, he might get him out of there. You know, so I think it's. I don't think it's a bad fight, but it sounds.
I can see that fight happening too, because Al signed Willie recently, and that's not for nothing. Yeah.
And I believe that fight's supposed to take place down in Houston. So.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if that's what the business plan is to get the put the Charlos in a fight down in Houston somewhere and help build their exposure a little bit more in Texas, then I could see maybe Al wanting to put both of them on the same card and possibly putting, if Jamal is fighting Willie Monroe, then putting Jamel in with some. I mean, I don't know who you put him in with, but it probably wouldn't be Jared Hurd for that particular fight. Plus, Jared Hurd is coming off of the injury,
surgery or something,
so he's not going to be ready to fight anyway. So again, it's that's all part of the business, and if you're someone like Al Heyman and you've got these 200 fighters and you're looking to get these guys exposure here and exposure there, and you're piecing together all these fights, like sometimes fights just have to wait until it's the right time to put them on, or in some cases
I just sense from someone like Spence, when Thurman was holding those 2 titles, I sense from Spence more that I really want to take those fucking belts off.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But
even if he's saying that, it's only gonna happen when Al Heyman says, "Okay, we're making this fight now." That's the only time that happens. It doesn't matter if like some fighters out there know that, and so they're just like, "Man, I don't, whatever. It is what it is. I'll fight when Al says I'll fight." And some fighters just don't get. It's not that they don't get it; they just don't care about that, and they're still going to be, out there demanding this fight and demanding that fight, even though, they...
Don't you think that helps the fight sometimes? Helps build it up?
Sometimes, depending on the fight, sometimes, in other circumstances, sometimes it's not necessary. It's not needed. The fight's already built up to what it's going to be. So, I don't necessarily think Sean Porter had to go get in Danny Garcia's face.
It helped
in order to get that. I don't think it helped. I don't really think it helped. I think, I think that fight was going to be what it was, regardless of when they made it. I don't think any more people got, that much more excited for the fight. And I think it was going to take place when Al Heyman wanted it to take place. And I think that's just what it is, So, I mean, it was cool for us, media, and for diehard fans to see that. I mean, I do like seeing that. I love seeing fighters go back and forth and jawing at each other. I love it. But at the end of the day, sometimes it does not matter.
I'm ready.
Do you think promotional companies set fighters up to go inside the ring after a fight to call the guys
Sometimes.
Because it didn't. I guess it was Anthony Joshua who said he didn't want Wilder to come into the ring, right? But he told Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn deaded it, right?
Well, definitely the case with Wilder and Ortiz. Like Wilder just randomly was there commentating, and
right. I don't. It's not that Eddie Hearn deaded it, and it's really what it really is they're not allowed. Like even in Vegas, like. People who aren't part of the fighter's corner, like they're not allowed in the ring. Like it's against their rules. So it's the same in England. Like the BBOC or BBFC or whatever, the British Board of Boxing Control, whatever it's called. They don't allow people to get, like, you have to get approval, and I think that was the situation with the Sean Porter Danny Garcia thing. I think someone had to get approval for that. Now, when you're somewhere like in Florida, where the commission is a little more lax, you can get away with storming the ring and whatnot. But sometimes I think it is done on purpose. Like when Tyson Fury flew over to New York and got in the ring with Deontay Wilder. I forget which fight that was. What fight was that? Was that the Szpilka fight?
That was the Szpilka, yeah, the Szpilka fight.
Yeah, I think that was all planned in advance. Like Tyson Fury didn't just storm the ring. I think that was, that was planned in advance, and they had to get approval. So it just depends on the fight. I like it when it's more natural. That seems like it's just like when Errol Spence got in the ring with Sean Porter recently. It's like everybody in the ring knew that was about to happen. which is cool. But I like it when it's more, you know, sporadic. I like it when it's just, you know, natural and it just happens, you know, and you catch the fighter off guard and then they got to complain about, oh, I got a toothache, you know, I'm gonna get my tooth fixed before we fight first, you know, stuff like that.
But that same fighter came back and got in Floyd's face after the Marquez fight.
He sure did. He sure did. And Floyd told him, get the fuck out of my face. Quit trying to steal my shine, motherfucker. So, yeah. Anyway, last main topic I wanted to touch on was the Canelo-Ggg pay-per-view numbers. Have you guys seen any early reports yet?
I heard 1.15 from Lance Pugmire.
1.15. Oh, Lance Pugmire put that out?
He said he's hearing anywhere from 1 to 1.15.
Wow.
That's what he reported.
Wow. I'm surprised. I'm surprised Lance Pugmire. Yeah, I think Rick Glazer also put out 1.175 or something like that. But yeah, is that good? What did the first one do?
1.3.
1.3. Wow. Lance Pugmire put out 1.15 or 1.5?
1.15.
1.15. Wow. Wow.
That's lower than I thought it was gonna get. I felt personally, being in Vegas for fight week, that this fight, once fight week was actually here, was hotter than the first fight.
Really?
Yeah, I think we got a better atmosphere on fight night, better atmosphere at the weigh-in, better atmosphere at the arrivals. I mean, it was hot all fight week. I felt like I covered a real fucking super fight, like a Leonard Hagler, Leonard Hearns, you know. But
no. It wasn't that. I know that.
Right. It was good.
But wow, Lance Pugmire. I'm just kind of tripping on that, because if Lance Pugmire put out 1.15, I'm real curious to see what Golden Boy says, because typically what happens is promoters, when a network doesn't put out official number, like if HBO doesn't put out a press release, or if Showtime doesn't put out a press release, then the promoter, that usually means the promoter told them they did not want them to put the number out, and then the promoter will usually follow that up with their own press release with inflated numbers. And just going off of history, usually you can bank on 200 to 300,000 extra buys thrown on top of the real number. So like in this case, if the real number is 1.15, then I would expect Golden Boy to come out and announce that they did 1.3, 1.4. So I'm curious to see what they come out and say, because if Golden Boy comes out and says that they did 1.15, which I know they don't want to do because that's less than the first fight. I know they don't want to come out and say, yeah, Canelo won, but he did fewer pay-per-view buys. They're going to want to say they did more pay-per-view buys. So I'm just curious to see if they actually come out and admit 1.15 is what we did, then there's a chance it may have done even less than that. It's
not a good look coming before Conor and Khabib, which is probably going to blow those numbers out of the water. Not really what I like to see as a boxing guy.
Yeah. Ooh, before we get off too, Percy, please remind me. We gotta touch on that Conor McGregor Khabib press conference. We do. I know we're not all MMA guys on here, but me and Percy, at least the two of us, have to talk about that Conor Khabib press conference.
Conor knocks his ass out.
Really? Oh, you a hater! You a hater, Sean. Why you hating?
Hey, I'll tell you what. He better keep it standing up. If they go to the ground, Conor's in trouble.
Yeah.
Hey, Conor's one of us, man. He fought Floyd. He's in the boxing brotherhood for life. So go, Conor.
He is not in the boxing brotherhood. That's the whole reason why he's not. You don't just come in the brotherhood and get a shot at the biggest money man out there. That's crazy. That's a one-off situation. But before we get to that,
never boxed before, so go Conor.
Yeah, okay. Before we get to that though, the pay-per-view numbers, good or bad? Like, were you expecting far better than that? I mean, I know, Sean, you said you were.
I thought it was going to do better. I thought it was going to get to 1.5. You know,
I never saw it going that high. I thought 1.3.
Yeah, we talked about that
that's pretty
last time or something. Yeah, 1.3. Yep. Wow.
I think by today's standards, that's man. I think if you can do $1 million now, that's decent.
That's
good.
Decent. Yeah,
absolutely.
So many other ways to watch it, man.
Are you surprised that those are the numbers though? Like, were you expecting to hear 1.3, 1.4?
I guess you could say I was the 1-2, 1-3 range, but 1-1 is, like I say, by today's standards, I don't even know if you can complain about that, man.
No. How many other fighters
especially
doing
considering,
that?
I mean, there was really no notable guys on the undercard. I know the diehards know Jaime Munguia, but you know, like we talked about earlier, the casuals that usually push it over the million mark, they wasn't familiar with him. They wasn't familiar with Spike O'Sullivan and David Lemieux. So yeah, 1-1 is again today's standards.
We're lucky that two guys that barely speak English were able to pull it off.
That's another key point. Yeah. Another key point.
He said,
a lot of subtitle reading.
Somebody said only these losers would bring up MMA on a boxing stream. Yo, we mentioned it for a split second, okay? Like, we're not doing a deep dive into MMA, so relax, King of Kings boxing. Jesus. But
yeah, we're not putting Ronda Rousey on the cover of a magazine.
Right. What'd you say? What'd you say, Rockman?
I said big snack pack with the Bomb Squad.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only heavyweight we want to know about, baby.
Wow. Rockman is funny. Yeah. No, I'm actually surprised by those numbers. I like I said, I'm curious to see what Golden Boy is gonna say they did. If Lance Pugmire really put out 1.15, then that doesn't leave them much room to play with to get it up to I know they don't want to say it did less than the 1.3 that the first one did, but yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised by that. Not that I really expected it to do more. I'm just more surprised that Lance Pugmire put out 1.15. That's just surprising to me, real surprising. But I do think that's good. Like you said, Percy, it's hard. It's very hard to do. Everyone's pay-per-view numbers are down. The UFC, everyone. So that whole model, the pay-per-view model in today's world of streaming and stealing streams, and it's getting more and more difficult to keep those numbers up high. So,
and live, man. I see so many people watching it at their house live, and they'll go on Facebook and just turn their phone to it's difficult times for $90 pay-per-views.
Oh, Stacy was on, and he said he watched it. Somebody FaceTimed it to him.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's so many different ways, man. That was $90, dude. Like I say, for the most part, it was for the main event guys. A lot of people didn't know the other guys. So yeah, $90. That's $45 a fighter for Golovkin and Canelo. Yeah.
What'd that go? That went 12 rounds. One fight went 4, another fight went 5, and one fight
went 1.
So for
if you like knockouts, you was all in.
22 rounds, $90 for 22 rounds of boxing. Wow, that's pretty steep.
Yeah.
Real quick though, just because I'm gonna piss off this dude because he don't want us bringing up MMA. But Percy, I like I said, I got to get your thoughts on. Did you watch the press conference? I bet you everybody on here watched the press conference. Maybe not V. V probably didn't watch it because V a hater. V don't like MMA like that. V a hater. We've established that already. So I know V didn't watch it. But did everybody else watch it? Did you watch it? Big. You watched it too, V?
I saw it.
Wow, guilty. You an MMA fan. Now you've been branded. You an MMA fan.
Hey, I've been watching. Hey, secretly, I got paid with Conor and Rousey. That's a whole nother story, though.
That's funny.
But,
Nah, so everybody watched it, though.
Yeah. Yep. Wow. I checked it out.
All right. Well, what'd you guys think?
The stare down I like the stare down part that where they got Conor up close and he's like, "You're dead. You're dead." I
like the fact that Conor McGregor absolutely does his homework, man. When he was talking to Khabib's manager, Ali, saying, how's Noah? That's supposedly Ali's son that he doesn't take. Like, he is a sharp dude, man. And whether you like MMA or boxing, this guy's last 2 opponents have a combined record of 76-0. Ain't many people doing that.
Percy, I know about you as well.
Never attack him.
I thought it was a little corny and movie-ish. He was talking about the blue lips. You're going to get knocked out blue. I don't know. It just looked a little corny.
You grab onto a man's ankles. What way of that is fighting? What the fuck?
What's his whiskey called? What's it called? Pure 12? 12? What's it called? He's got some kind of whiskey.
Proper 12 or something like that.
Proper 12. Percy, are you surprised to hear that Proper 12 is a sponsor for the UFC?
Not at all, man. That's as close as the UFC will probably get to giving kind of a piece of the UFC. Right. Like, we'll make your company official sponsor. You ain't owning part of the company.
Right. Was it true? Did I read he signed a 6-fight deal?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
He'll probably get through 3 of them. He'll probably get through 3. I mean, but look. One thing you'll never question about Conor, he has heart and balls, man. This dude coming off a 2-year layoff, a 26-0 fighter. This dude jumped straight into boxing in his debut for the 49-0 fighter. I give him props.
Paulie Malignaggi disagrees. He says he has no balls. No balls. He's a pussy. No balls.
Bring your balls, pussy.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you see? Have you seen any of the interviews that Paulie has done?
Yeah. I've seen Paul, and I understand there's hostility there and this, that. But if Paulie's keeping it 100, man, you gotta, like I say, 76-0, 2 different sports. I give him props, man.
But putting all like, I mean, look, Paulie is over the top with his, Conor McGregor hate. But putting some of that aside and just getting to the core of what Paulie is saying, is there some truth in what he's saying about Conor and just
once he gets tired, he folds, kind of thing.
Yeah, and tapping out and like you could see when he's ready to quit and stuff like that. Is he speaking?
No, that's factual. I mean, if you look at Conor, he's the typical brash guy though. Like, for the most part, they're all front runners. For the first couple rounds or the first couple minutes, they're gonna give you all you can handle. But most brash guys are like that because they got to fall back on something. Sure guys don't talk as much because they're sure they can go 25 hard minutes or 36 hard minutes.
Anthony Joshua.
That's kind of fallback,
like Anthony Joshua. Like Anthony Joshua. I feel
I think he messed with you, V. I think he messed with you.
Hey, I'm going to be quiet on that one. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You saying Wilder's like Conor McGregor?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Definitely not.
Kind of just kind of leaves it out there to where if Khabib shoots on him, he could say, "Oh, well, see, I was kicking his ass until it's part of the sportsmanship." I get it.
Smart.
But yeah, no, Paulie's spot on, man. Every time he's gassed, we've seen it. The both fights with Nate Diaz, the Floyd Mayweather fight, honestly, in the Chad Mendez fight, but Mendez was just as much out of shape because he took it on like 2 weeks' notice.
He was a little more gassed.
Exactly.
So what are you expecting in the fight? I mean, obviously, and actually, Rockman, I agree with you. I feel like it was a little over the top. I mean, I'm all for Conor McGregor's trash talk and everything and getting in the opponent's head, but I feel like he was going a little extra because it wasn't working. Like, Khabib was just kind of like, nah, whatever, I will break you, like he just kind of was like, whatever.
I stay on bus.
I enjoy Conor McGregor shit talking. I think he's a great shit talker, but I don't know. He just seems a little animated right there.
I just felt like it was a little too much. Like, I mean, he showed up and was like, "Where's the fans? This should be open to the fans and da-da-da-da and drink my whiskey and fuck you and fuck you." And I was like, whoa, bro, like, slow down. I know you got a lot to say, but, you don't have to get it all out now. And I just felt like he was really, really, really over the top extra with it, which, I mean,
but I think that was the problem, Ben. I think that was the problem, Ben. They didn't have fans there. He had no one to take away from the spotlight base. I mean, yeah, the reporter stood up and said, "Excuse my hands for shaking."
Right.
Like, I'm this nervous about being around Conor. It's ridiculous. But
you saw that too?
That was crazy to me.
Like, excuse my hand for shaking. What's wrong?
I thought it was a horrible move, and some of the things Conor was saying, like, look, I'm on probation, I'm fighting all these cases, and y'all bring me out for this shit with no fans. So I get where his frustration came from because he truly wanted an audience. And like you said, Khabib ain't offer much. When he offers him, he's like, "I don't drink." He should have took the glass and doused him with it. But
I thought that was gonna happen. I thought that's what Conor. I thought Conor was trying to get close. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
drink my whiskey.
I was almost disappointed that he didn't.
I think that there's real beef between the two. So if that would have happened, I think they would have really went at it. And I
agree. I just thought Khabib offered nothing, and it kind of felt like he kind of had to carry the show.
Would you have done it? Would you have, even though there's real beef, wouldn't you have still, if you were that close, wouldn't you have just to get under his skin, just Just throw it on him. Fuck you.
Even just take it and dump it out.
Connor's already in a lot of trouble, so
yeah,
he doesn't want to get any more trouble.
In other words, Ron, you saying Khabib securing that bag.
Right.
Right. He's gonna need that bag. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, but I would even took it and just dumped it out. Like just take it and dump it.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink this trash, whatever. But you can tell he's not used to that, man. Khabib is used to being in fights with guys that's somewhat intimidated by him, not as brash as. I mean, you can even see in the stare down, he looked a little nervous to me.
Wow.
He's just not used to someone right up on him like that. Everyone's kind of intimidated by him.
Wow.
Well, Percy,
sounds like you're leaning Go ahead, Sean.
No, I wanted to ask you guys who actually know what you're talking about when it comes to MMA. But I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about that, because looking at Conor go up to him in a stare down, like Percy just said, was that at all shades of what Canelo did with Golovkin? Which is, I know you're the favorite in this fight. There's this perception that I ran from you, and then with Conor and Khabib, there's this perception I'm afraid of you, and it's here I am. I'm coming to you.
Conor kind of does that to everybody.
Yeah,
right.
Nate Diaz is the only one that didn't back down, and they almost had a scuffle. So, yeah, I just think, and I think Khabib, I would probably lean towards him. I think some of it is his little subtle calmness, but he looked a little bit taken aback, like he didn't know if Conor was really going to swing on him, kind of deal.
Wow.
He looked like a stone cold killer to me. He looked like he was ready to erupt at any point, man. I don't get that nervous look.
So, Percy, would you say advantage Conor after the press conference, or Khabib?
No, I would definitely say advantage. I think both fighters were in their element. I think Khabib is who we saw he was. I think Conor was who we thought he was. I just think Khabib's not used to that. He's truly used to guys like, oh, I had to beg you to fight me. Like he always feels like he had to beg guys to fight him, or the UFC had to twist someone's arm to fight him. But now you got somebody offering you whiskey, they're in your face, they're saying your title's fake because you be the real estate agent for it. And, like he's just
right.
Verbally, he couldn't keep up with Conor.
Is he setting any psychological tone there, though?
Maybe, but man, he's dealing with a psychologically tough guy. I just think verbally he couldn't keep up, so he kind of felt a lot out of place. And it was odd not having fans to boo Conor or cheer Conor, and it was just media guys who can't show emotion. So it was a bad spot to kind of put him in, to be honest.
I actually was not impressed with Conor. I've heard Conor do better trash talk. I've heard him.
He was definitely a little rusty. He was fumbling over some words and thoughts and things.
Right.
I like that. I stay on bus. I like that. I never heard someone flip to Eastern European accent.
He had some moments. I will give him that. But I've seen better. Like you said, Percy, I feel like he was a little bit rusty. He was fumbling over some stuff. And maybe he just had too much that he wanted to say. But yeah, I actually kind of gave the advantage to Khabib just because he came out unruffled from Conor. I don't really feel like... I mean, Conor threw everything at him. I mean, he talked about his dad. He talked about... He tried to say that he was turning on his country. He was turning on the Russian president. Like I mean, he threw everything at him, and Khabib was just kind of like, whatever. October 6th.
Yeah. I'm sure the few shots of whiskey he took didn't help either. I'm sure he was a little buzzing.
Right. But yeah, just real quick, just to wrap up here. I know everyone. I got to get some food, man. I'm starving. But Percy, who do you like in that fight? Khabib?
Yeah, I'll go Khabib. I think he grinds kind of out, man. Like, again, all the balls in the world, all the heart in the world, but that's a rough opponent to come back from a 2-year layoff on. Someone that can truly grind you out. I think it's going to be a tough fight for him.
Rock?
I'm the casualist fan of UFC. I really don't know, but just based on the confrontation at the press conference, I want to go with Khabib because you always go with the quiet guy that doesn't say much.
It's like Anthony Joshua. Sean,
the loudest is usually the scariest.
Right, Sean, who you got?
I think Khabib is the favorite to win the fight, but I want Conor McGregor to win the fight.
Oh, that's right. You a Khabib hater? I forgot. Why did I even ask you that?
Hey man, I gotta go with the Irishman. So I'm gonna give. Yeah. I want Conor to knock his ass out. How about that? No. But if a gun was to my head, I'd pick Khabib. I think Conor partied probably after the Mayweather fight. He hasn't fought in the MMA fight in almost 2 years. Khabib's undefeated. He looks hungry as hell to get what Conor has. So I would actually logically pick Khabib, but I hope Conor knocks his ass out.
V, who you got?
I think the smart money's on Khabib. Conor, Percy mentioned it earlier, which was a good point. He's been off for a little bit. This is a tall order to come back to after an inactivity. I will say this, though. I think if Conor lands flush, he can get him out of there. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that before he ends up on his back. And we know it's going to happen if he touches the mat. He won't win. So I think you got to go Khabib in that one.
V, we can definitely tell you don't watch MMA. You just changed the man's whole name. You just dropped the K.
It's
Silent
Khabib.
K.
I did too.
No. Actually, I agree with you, V. I think Conor just seems, ever since his last fight in the cage, he seems a lot more timid to me. And
there's that word.
I'm just kidding. I'm just going strictly based on styles. I think Khabib is going to take him. I mean, don't get me wrong. Conor could catch him early. But I just think Khabib's going to take him down really, really fast, and Conor's going to be in a different world. So I'm leaning towards Khabib.
Wrong guy to have stamina issues against.
Wrong guy to have stamina issues against. That's
good point.
I have a question for Percy, since he seems to be the most knowledgeable in the UFC. I watched UFC back in the day, and I always lean towards the Gracies and the guys that can grapple on the ground. Does the better grappler have the more advantage in the UFC?
Wrestling is probably the best base to have, man, if you're going to go into any kind of mixed martial arts, because for one, the weight cutting thing, wrestlers have that down to a science. Stamina, they truly have a will to win that's a little bit different. And I think too many stand-up guys get comfortable with the element that the fight starts on the feet. So he got to stand with me, and then next thing you know, they're on the ground. So I definitely think wrestling is the better base. You see a little bit people getting away from grappling as much, but wrestlers are starting to take over. So what you used to seeing with the Gracies as far as jiu-jitsu, replace that with wrestling, and that's today's MMA.
Okay.
One last thing before we do get out of here. Let me get official predictions. Tomorrow night, Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Povetkin. I said Povetkin. Povetkin. P, you want to kick it off? Official prediction.
Yeah. Joshua, unanimous decision.
Yeah. Rock?
I'm going with Joshua, early knockout.
Early knockout. Sean?
He's not going to make it to the 6th round, I don't think.
Okay, so under 6.
I think Joshua gets him out around 6'5", a couple rounds earlier than he predicted.
Under 6. V?
I think it's a tougher night for Joshua than we predict. He could keep it short. He got the power to do that, but I think Povetkin's going to do a little bit more than a lot of people expect. I see it going the distance. I think Joshua will cover, but I think he's going to have some trying moments in that fight.
Wow, good call. I'm actually leaning towards both V and Percy. I think it's going to go the distance, and I actually don't think Joshua's going to have a hard time. I think he's going to dominate pretty much, and it might be it might be another boring fight for some people. I don't think Povetkin's going to make it boring, though. I think he's going to provide some exciting moments.
Yeah, I actually think Povetkin's going to hit Joshua a couple times in the 6 rounds that it goes. I think he's going to land some shot. I think it's a good style for Joshua. I don't think it's going to be a style Joshua struggles with, and I think the fact that Povetkin likes to fight on the inside is going to make it a funner fight than the Parker fight was.
I want to say this real quick. For the last couple weeks, we watched the underdog who no one expected to win. We expected them to put up good fights. We didn't expect them to win. They pulled it out both weekends. I don't know that the same's going to happen tomorrow. We expect them to win, B. But, yeah, well, that's a whole other story. I'm going to pat myself on the back.
Right. We expected it.
No, but seriously, I will say this. If Povetkin goes in, if he smothers Josh and is able to get close and lands body work early, just like I said about Canelo last week, if he goes to the body early, I think this is. I think that we could be in for a shocker because I do think I think he has the ring intelligence to push Joshua like none of the guys we've seen. If he's able to smother him and get close and land to the body earlier, it's going to be a difficult night for Joshua.
I just think that's Joshua's wheelhouse, man. Being in close and trying to get in body work, I just think that's not where you want to be with Joshua. I think it's a tough style matchup for Povetkin. He's fighting someone who's bigger, stronger, younger than him that does a lot of what he does a lot better than he himself does.
All depends on how much space you give him.
Wait, V, so are you calling the upset, or are you saying if there's an upset, I'm calling it, but I'm expecting Joshua by decision?
No. If you want to put it that way, the safe money is definitely on Joshua. But I am saying that I think the opportunity for upset is there.
You won't be surprised.
I absolutely do.
You won't be surprised.
I would not.
I'd be shocked. I would not.
I would not.
Fair enough. All right, fellas, that's all I got. Any last parting shots before we kick out of here? Are we jumping back on after? I mean, not after the fight. Well, I don't know. We might be able to jump on after the fight since it's
early.
It's early, right? 4:30, 4:30 Eastern time, 1:30 Pacific time. DAZN. Got to download it if you don't got it right now. And yeah.
Last shot, Ben, is if these motherfuckers start talking about Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia early next year, I'm gonna be a little pissed because we already talked to Bob Arum and he gave us the date. March of 2019 is the first realistic date he ever gave anybody in the press. So I'm just saying, if Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia starts getting some steam, Bob already told us first, motherfuckers. That's it.
Wow, I'm not sure why you had Lomachenko on your mind right now, but okay, y'all heard him.
I want to see the Garcia Loma fight, man. Now that Canelo Triple G is done, my next 3 big hits of boxing gotta be Joshua Wilder, Crawford Spencer, Loma Mikey. That's the next 3 big fights for me.
Well, I think we'll have an entire year to talk about those 3 fights before they happen. So. And a lot of fun in the future. All right, that's all I got. Well, fellas, if you guys want to jump on after the fight, immediately after the fight tomorrow, we can. That's fine. If not, we can wait till Sunday or Monday or something like that. I guess it just depends on how it turns out. And yeah, we'll keep you guys posted, fans. Thank you for tuning in and joining us. And yeah, that's a wrap.